Then, hello everyone. It's so nice and happy to see all of you again in the program Heartfelt Lessons. The show airs at 7 p.m. Saturday on the YouTube channel you're watching. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's program, I'm going to give you a little tip to help you feel more positive about yourself. Well, guys, have you ever felt the opposite of what I just said? It means I don't feel very positive about myself. Why don't I love myself much? Why am I not satisfied with myself? Why do I feel like I'm still missing something and I don't know what it is? Sometimes it feels so empty. Does anyone feel that? And I say, this feeling doesn't matter how high your position or success is. Even if you're successful, even if you're not successful, even if you're young, even if you're not very young, do these things, this feeling of dissatisfaction with yourself, do they often appear? Or for many, it is even more serious. Actually, I say this because I myself just came across such a case a few days ago. There are some of my friends who, in fact, on the outside, don't seem to be failures, don't seem to be unhappy, don't seem to be miserable. They just look delicious. But when it comes to expressing, when it comes to confiding, when it comes to telling each other, especially when we trust each other, there are all sorts of things. And usually, it creates an atmosphere that is very human. And in that very human atmosphere, we begin to see that our friend has this problem, that friend has that problem, and finally, when we put it all together, we see that they are not satisfied with themselves. They don't feel okay with themselves, whether they succeed or fail. So what is the cause? And is there any way we can deal with this? To feel happier? I think that after a long time, I researched, I paid attention, and I confided in many people, then I found that there seemed to be a reason. Of course, this problem has many causes, but there is one big cause, and you should see if this big cause is related and matches the problem or life you are facing. One of the things that I see in people who are unhappy with themselves, who don't like themselves very much, is that they lack the ability to use themselves proactively. It sounds weird. What does it mean to use yourself proactively? Meanwhile, these people are actually very hardworking. Working a lot is not lazy, but it is not saying that they do not use themselves proactively. Well, now I will take an example and hope you will feel that example. And I think for those of you who have been listening to me for a long time, it will probably be very easy to fill in this example, because I will use myself as an example. As for myself, I don't like holding paper and reading. I love to talk and lead. That means every video or every audio I make, I sit and I talk. There hasn't been a video I've read you guys in years. Even now, it's to the point where when I listen to audio or interviews, I still like to listen to something where people talk. But when people read it, I don't like it. That's why in the audiobook segment, I really like audiobooks where the author himself reads the audio. Because it is the author's own story, when the author reads it again, it still has a more spoken style than yours. Well then, why do I like the fact that I sit and talk, that is, I really talk, is because every time I finish working, every time I finish recording, I feel comfortable, guys. I also feel happy and feel very positive about my own life. Because I am using myself proactively. Instead of me using a piece of paper, instead of me using a firework, it's much easier and it has something to lean on. But I notice, guys, for a long time I know, at least in my experience, rely on yourself. Proactively. It means I want to use myself. I want to use myself, and I choose myself. No one else chooses me. When I do that, every minute I spend, I am very happy. Every minute, every second, I sit, I speak, that's me actually saying the information. Of course, it had to have a skeleton before, but the information was so special. It was exclusive at that moment. Because if I re-recorded that audio, it would definitely come out in a different version. No two times are ever exactly alike. Then there is room for improvisation. There is room for creativity at that moment. There is room for proactive use. I don't rely on anything else. What you can rely on yourself, then rely on. So from here, it does something very special. That is, I no longer collect emotional soulmates or I collect lessons of determination. No two times are the same, and habits are no longer stereotyped or old-fashioned. Then I'm happy and satisfied with myself because my life has freshness, and I like that freshness. Now, I say here, I have no intention to the readers. I think everyone has a different opinion. This is my opinion only, and because I like it or I don't like it doesn't mean it's a rule for others. Hope you understand. Here, I just say my status. And I find this happier. I just share it with you guys. I say, for example, myself, that day I knew I was going to come and I read that script. So there is a piece of paper available, right? I said, okay, I read it once in a while is fine, but I will have to read it every week, even though the content of the paper is different. But basically, when you pick up the paper and read it, you will see that the content is the same from week to week. From week to week, it is very similar. So unconsciously, the activity of reading that paper is an old activity, an activity that depends on the paper, right? Even if I have an assistant, the assistant often prepares it for me. Well, if you do it all the time, it becomes a habit. It becomes a repetition. Well, it's really boring. One day, I picked up the paper and read that script, reading that content. I was no longer interested. I was no longer happy. So I realized a very important thing in this life. If you use yourself too little, and on the contrary, you depend too much on a tool or a means, then in the beginning, everything will be very easy for you. But the longer you get used to it, the more old, boring, and repetitive the job becomes, and you no longer have any passion for it. Or, if you have, I don't know if the fire is too much or not. As for me, I sit and collect this, and I see the fire is always tense, guys. It rarely goes downhill. But sometimes I sit and imagine. I don't dare to joke around. I'm just saying that in my mind, I think if I keep doing the program where I have to hold the paper and read, then I'm afraid my fire will not fade as much as if I just sit and talk by myself. Because I sit, I say I have to use myself, use my brain, use my memory. And when you talk and think and use everything you have, it's never the same. Then it's new, and it's new, so it's not boring. And I feel like it too. The first time I finished a full episode, I could talk from A to Z. Oh my God! Suddenly I looked at myself and thought, oh, I'm okay. My goodness, I can sit and talk for 30 minutes, even 45 minutes by myself without stopping. The first day I did that, I was so happy. And until now, I still like that feeling, guys. So there is no need to bore you guys. For me personally, using myself proactively is no fun. It's always fun to open up a little bit. That means back when I first started collecting it, it was dirty too. So now, temporarily withdraw. If something can use you and you take the initiative to use it, instead of depending on something, try to use it, and you will feel very good about yourself. My friends, speak the truth. I say another example. Well, read something. Read and take notes. There are many ways people just read. They just skim through. Some people highlight and underline as they read. Some people take notes as they read. I have tried all such readings. However, there is a way of reading that makes me love the content I am reading as well as love myself after reading as well and while reading the most, which is, I try to use my short-term memory while reading. That means, first of all, I don't depend on paper, pen, highlighter, color, or anything, but completely rely on my mind and memory. Meaning that in this page I read, I will always ask myself, what am I reading? Let it remember what I read here means. I kept saying that in my head. Of course, it's slow, but slow play is okay, because reading is for quality, not for KPI. So I always try to think while reading, what am I reading? Does this place make any sense? What's up with this place? How bad? Which part is worth remembering? Those internal processes have to happen first. And then I even come across the book again and I try to ask myself, what did I just read? Then, at first, you will have to try very hard to remember. But you get used to it, you just came across the book again and you asked, what did I just read? Then in your head, each stream of thought, each source of thought begins to flow out, flow out, flow out, many wonderful thoughts. That is the way for you to think very quickly as well as increase your memory. And the faster you do it, the easier it will be for you to read books. Then you have to understand the feeling of a reader who reads to the point where it goes in, it absorbs, it feels. I know I'm reading, and I understand. Then you see what that feeling will be. It should be fun, it should be pride, it should be love. And there will be no more so-called boredom. Oh my God, this book is so thick, how can I read it? Without those thoughts anymore, guys. Because no two times are the same. Each page of the book is different, and as I read, I absorb and feel it, it's always new. Then I can feel the joy, guys. So, I understand. The way I'm guiding you guys, it's a bit extreme at first. It's a bit slow, but trust me. Try to use your initiative. Try to rely on yourself. Try, if you can, handle it without tools. Try to use yourself. Well, that's one of the ways to keep it fresh every time you do it. And every time you do it, it's fresh. How can it be boring when it's not the same? How could I not like it so much? Now, let's do it the other way around. Just read this sentence and underline it. Does anyone else find it difficult to read and finish a book? It seems like people who read fast like that, right? There are many people here who find reading difficult, extremely difficult to complete a book. So the most common reading method is still just skimming through. And the second is tool dependency. At most, every now and then I see a good sentence and I just underline it. But my head doesn't work much while reading. That means I'm just receiving information. I'm not processing it. When we rely on ourselves, when we use ourselves, then we have the activity of, brain, please process this information for me. It just got that activity, guys. When I just read, it's like I'm just taking in, taking in, taking in, taking in, like that. It doesn't have much initiative. So many of you don't like reading books. Many people even give up and feel that reading books is a waste of time. But actually, it is a wonderful activity because there is nothing as dense, as good, as massive, and as cheap as books. For example, if a history book is 500 pages long, if you were to turn this book into a movie, it would have to be a few dozen episodes. For example, if you watch a 45-minute movie, it's actually just a few pages or a few chapters from the book. They just portray it on film. But it's not rare that you can learn a whole length of history if you don't read the book much. Not to mention, there are topics that are very difficult for you to learn in other forms. For example, in terms of health, medicine, for example, if you read books, you will grasp the information and knowledge much better than if you watch movies, documentaries, or listen to audiobooks, which are very difficult, right? So books are a way for me to learn. It's almost wonderful and the most convenient. But of course, not everyone can read it. So before I conclude that I can't read it, or that it's not suitable for me, or that I don't like it, does it come from the fact that when I read, I just absorb it, just like nothing, but nothing, but nothing, but I rarely process the information that I take in? I don't process it. So why do I find it delicious? It's like a dish I eat. Whether it's delicious or not depends on when you chew it. You pay attention to see if you eat a piece of beefsteak. Whether it's delicious or not depends on when you chew. Your tongue touches the dish, right? Then your teeth chew, then you can enjoy it. Now, I'll give you a question. I won't let you listen, you can only swallow it. So you can't find it delicious. I'm serious, right? So the way I eat is sometimes funny, It's a bit similar to when I was studying. That means your mind must have a certain amount of processing to feel that the activity you are doing is meaningful and you enjoy it. You feel it, then naturally you will feel very positive about yourself. So in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, everything you do is not always appropriate to do it yourself. For example, at work, sometimes people need you to be fast. They need you to meet the deadline. Then okay, you can do that for work reasons. But whatever the case, don't do that for everything in your life. Because if everything is just a habit, every time it repeats itself boringly like that, you will hate this life. So at the very least, find one or two things that you do regularly and put some personal initiative into them. Use yourself actively in those activities, and you will encounter exactly the same feeling of joy that I talked about in this episode. I hope you will have such a wonderful feeling of loving yourself. Hope as many people feel that joy. Use yourself. Don't waste it, and don't rely too much on the tool. Then try harder. And our program is over now. Thanks for listening with me. Bye-bye, friend, and see you next week.
I just want to say thank you. Nothing more, no place